So the last stage here is analyzing ransomware, and that's kind of fun. So I figured I'd demonstrate a bit of that. If you go here, there is some Cerber ransomware in here, and you can tell by just searching for Cerber. And if you do that, I'm going to, as usual, start with some sampling to make it faster. So I found 2,000 events with Cerber in them. And if I look at the source, there are various sources here, a lot of UDP and so on, but there's a few from Suricata. And that's often the place to start because that's going to be a intrusion detection system that analyzes what's going on. And there's only 5 events where Suricata reported the presence of Cerber. And I can see what they did here in the alert action, alert category, alert signature. There we are. So now you can see a summary of what happened. It had a ransomware server check-in, it had some kind of error, and then it did an onion domain lookup. So if you look at the time flow of these, the earliest event is down here, and there. This is the check-in. So somebody got infected with ransomware and it checked in, and here's the time. At 9:49 a.m., they had the first infection with ransomware that checked in with the command and control center. Then that was 24 seconds. At 25 seconds, it had a check-in error. And at 36 seconds, 10 seconds later, it had another check-in error. So it was having trouble checking in. Then a period of about half an hour went by. And at 10:15, it tried to do a Cerber onion domain lookup. So that tells you got infected, it spent a half hour encrypting your files, and this lookup at the end is it loading the ransom page from an onion page that's going to say you have to pay some bitcoins to get your files back. So that gets you started, and there's quite a few things to find here. You can find the Suricata signature that detected the malware, the first one, the one that alerted only once. You can find the fully qualified domain name that it goes to when it checks in from where it downloads that ransomware file. And then you can find a suspicious domain that was visited by a user who got infected through a web page. They went to a dangerous domain that had the web page on it. And you can even find the VB script that ran performed the encryption. And let me see if I can show you that. For that, all you need is to search for events that contain both a Visual Basic file extension and an exe extension. So .vbs and .exe. And there are only 16 events like that. And if you look at the body field of these events, one of them is right here. And this creates C script. That's just a long bunch of blah, blah, another long bunch of blah, blah. But down here you have an obviously malicious script. This is what they look like. It's going to do a cmd.exe, launching a process, and the process is going to do cmd/c, and then it has this Visual Basic script code, which is all obfuscated. It has a function here, GNI, PP, and the variables are long scrambled names, and the upper and lower case is all messed up. And it's obviously been written in a way to obscure its function and make it painful to read. And that is the script that does the infection. So they went to a website and downloaded something and ran it, and it downloaded this script and ran, and then it encrypted a bunch of files. And then it went to a Tor onion domain to download the ransom note. So you can see the whole process. And if you go on here, you can even find the registry keys that show you which USB stick was plugged in and so on. I think this actually came not from a infection for web page, but an infection came from USB key, but I'm not sure. That might have been a separate one. Anyway, you can totally find them all in the events here. And you can see why people pay so much for Splunk. You know, you can really get down to the bottom of events, but it's a little bit difficult. And that's why they pay so much for people to run Splunk. So it's a useful skill to have. Setting it up, by the way, is not a piece of cake either, as you can imagine. It's got to have sensors all over the place reporting to a central server that has to have a huge storage cluster and then powerful servers running it. So there's a whole lot of people involved in running Splunk at a big company, but it ends up being well worth it.